Hi everyone, Bram Lagrou here, and today I'm going to talk you through how the brain operates and how you want to include this in your business development efforts, because if you fail to do this, you are guaranteed losing business. And on the other side, the good news is if you listen to this and you follow the 3 steps, it's so much easier to drum up more business, more work, and get more fees on board than any time else. So let's have a quick look behind me here. I'll walk you through it. So guys, this is here my Pablo Picasso style representation of the brain. What we're going to do here is we're going to think of the brain as an elevator. The elevator, as with all buildings, starts from the ground level and goes up there. The brain works very similarly. Now it makes, like in business development, for example, or in sales, it means that whenever you are in front of a client, or you got a client on the phone, or you're doing something marketing-wise, the information that you are giving to them and the whole situation will be assessed in the buyer's mind in a certain way. And so it's important that we follow the right steps, that we go in the elevator starting from the bottom and that we work our way up and not the other way around. Because if we do it the other way around, we're just shortcutting the system. We're not working with the flow of events, and it's a guaranteed lose. So let's just be smart at this, be wise, work with the system. And so we start at level 1. Just basically imagine now that the human brain has evolved over such a period, a really long period of time. And so it started with developing what we call now the reptilian brain. Some people reference it as the crocodile brain. It's a very basic operating system that just assesses 3 things here. It's going to assess a situation as being fight, flight, or freeze. We all have heard this here, but what does it mean in a sales or business development context? It means that your clients, as they are engaging with you and your team and your business, they're going to think like the first reptilian part of the brain, which is of course this one here, reptilian part. The reptilian part of the brain is just going to have this sort of thing. Is this a situation that is going to impose a danger to me, a threat to me, to my survival, to my pocket, from a business perspective? So all these very instinctual, very basic sort of impulses and thinking, very rudimentary stuff, is just kicking in the first time. That is why, for example, making cold calls is not that easy, because people might easily go into a very sort of threat mode. They might think that, oh, somebody's trying to sell me here, somebody's following a script. You know what I'm talking here about, which is really this instinctual brain kicking in. So if you know that, what you want to do is you want to do 2 things here to satisfy the needs of that part of the brain. One is making sure that people feel safe. If there's safety involved, if people feel that you're not there imposing a threat, you're not going to eat them alive, you're not going to rip them off or take them for a ride, that in itself is the first tick that you want to meet. The first tick. So it's important that you learn how to read people and relate to them in a way that makes them feel safe. That's the first one. But the second thing is really important as well. We want to create a level of intrigue. Intrigue. And that has to be a tick as well. Now, what do I mean by that? You might have said just one little thing, just kind of seeded one idea in their mind. And that one little thing grabbed their attention enough so that they said, that was interesting, I want to hear more about it. But you didn't reveal too much about it so that people are still left with questions. As soon as people have a question about something, it means something caught their attention. You kind of used a hook and kind of pulled their attention away from everything else that they could do at that present moment in time. So safety and intrigue is the 2 things on how you can satisfy the first level, ground level basically, of the elevator within the brain. And as soon as you meet those 2, your opportunity moves up to level 2. But here's also the thing. If you fail to provide the safe environment and some sort of sense of intrigue, straight away the system will shortcut it and kind of zone out. It won't really be receptive anymore to talking to you about opportunities to do business or about sort of the solutions that you have available. And all that sort of really typical stuff that we always like to get to. We want to talk business, but guess what? If this first part of the brain is not satisfied, forget about it. It will just be left here stuck on the first level. The other thing now, let's just assume that we have done the two things in the right way. So it is safe in the brain of the client, and there's also a level of intrigue. We said something that caught their attention. Great. Information now moves up again. So they're going to now assess the situation in the second level of the brain, which is now what we call the limbic system. So now we're in the limbic system. This is what we call the feeling center. Imagine now, whenever you are a buyer as well, whenever you are shopping around for something, you will talk to people, about the salespeople or the advisors that you've spoken to in a way where you say, you know what, I kind of like him or her. You like them as a person. You might say that you really had a lot of fun in conversing with him, or you might have said that you really feel pressure to make a decision and it kind of put you off. This is all the assessments happening in the limbic system, the feeling center of the brain, which is slightly more advanced. It's the second level that was added on and was part of the evolution of the human brain. In more recent times, the third part of the brain was developed. And exactly in that same order, we're now in level 3. This is the neocortex. It's the place where, hang on, cortex, I'm one of those guys that can't think too many things at the same time, so I need to do one thing at a time and then I can do it well. So the neocortex is the place where creative thinking happens, where problem solving, complex problem solving happens. And most importantly, contrary to the feeling side here, or the emotional side, here is where logic is happening. This is where we can process information, where we can look at analytics, where we can look at solving problems. This is where we are discussing fees and costs and investments associated with return on investments and so on and so forth. So this is where logic is happening within the brain. This is this part here. Now, let's now revert a step back here. Yesterday I was presenting to a team of 25 financial planners at one of the leading AMP branches in Australia. And I was talking about this stuff here. And I was making the point that a lot of the times when we're talking about strategies and products like insurance, key man insurance, TPD, life insurance, whatever, income protection, that sort of stuff, or you're talking about investments and superannuation, a lot of the times the product in itself and also the way we go about fact finding and information gathering, guess what? That is all very cerebral. It's all very logical stuff. And by the mere product and the way that we go about sourcing information to be able to advise and point people in the right direction, we very quickly go to level 3. But the question is, have we first satisfied the reptilian brain in the early stages of engaging with the client? Have we really made them feel comfortable, welcome? Have we made them feel thought after? Are we relating to them in their style? Not do it on our terms, but really make them feel ready and talk to them in their language rather than our jargon and professional sort of language. All of these sort of things help to either make them feel safe or fight, flight, freeze sort of mode. We know already if we fail to adhere to these two things here, we kind of straight away create an unsafe environment. And if that unsafe environment is created, guess what? You won't even be able to talk about your solutions in a way where people will process it and be receptive to receiving that information. So the problem is sometimes that we go too quick to talk business and that we haven't taken enough time to create the right emotional environment for people to feel safe, to feel good, respected, special, listened to, appreciated, and all these sort of really things that are all about rapport building. They're all about connecting from one human being to another, and we put business aside. And here's the other thing. You might actually go too fast talking fees, especially if you got a client that reaches out to you and says, hey, let me know, how much do you guys charge for this or that? If you go straight away in answering a fee-based or a cost-based question from a client without having created the right emotional environment for that client, your chances of winning the business are virtually zero. Why? Because people don't want to just buy for the sake of buying. They want to create an outcome. They want to tap into a benefit for them. They want to create some sort of transformation. And that is mainly an emotional process that is backed by logical justification afterwards. And so once again, the sole reason of me sharing this here with you is to work with the system, work with the flow, not against it. Let me just use another last sort of quick analogy for you. Whenever we were in the dating scene many years ago, of course, because I'm married, you know, I'm not there anymore. But back in the days when we were, let's say, going to clubs and bars and all of that, we would not go straight to somebody and say, hey, I like your looks, let's go home. It didn't work that way, did it? So it's the same idea. You wouldn't go straight for a logical sort of tagline. You would first make sure that you want to connect. You want to see, like, who is this person? Do actually, you know, is this somebody that imposes a danger to me or not? Is this somebody that, I know, sparks a bit of interest? That sort of stuff. As soon as you got that, then you see, like, hey, you know, how is it talking to this person? Are we having a good conversation? Can we kind of relate to each other? Do we have things in common? Is there something that I'm really curious about to learn more about? All of this happens first and foremost. And unless this kind of works, the next step is kind of not even going to happen. So, my friends, as you are joining me here, let me know your thoughts on this particular video. There's a lot more that I can say about it, but I kind of dumbed it down, make it simple, because simplicity helps you to create a framework that you can reflect on, a framework that you can easily implement, and as you implement, your knowledge becomes applied knowledge, and that is power. My name is Bram. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Appreciate your time, and I look forward to your comments.